Okay, so we ran A, B, C, D split tests on the subject lines for this campaign with Sodexo for the open, purely to try and drive the best open rate possible. And I'm a big advocate of testing things. There is a question around statistical validity of sample sizes, etc. And the database that we were dealing with may not have been statistically relevant because it wasn't a huge database. But what it did do for us is that we could test dynamically 4 subject lines. The email system that we were using would take 4 subject lines, would send a split, so 5% of the data to each subject line over a 24-hour period, and the best performing by open rate of those 4 subject lines would then be used for the remaining 80% of the data. Whether it was statistically valid, we don't know, but what it did mean is that we were not just putting all our eggs into one basket and using a subject line that we thought was best. We were using a subject line that the data, or the recipients of the data, told us was best by nature of how many opened. And the difference between those subject lines wasn't great in terms of open rates. It was only maybe 1 or 2%. So sometimes people think, well, should we bother to test things if we're only going to get a 1 or 2% difference? But actually from work we've done with Sodexo, 1 or 2% difference in open rate, at the other end of the scale, when you get through to conversion and to sales, a 1 or 2% shift can actually mean somewhere between £5,000 and £10,000 worth of sales. So it was worth being detailed and worrying about the type of subject line we use to try and encourage the best possible open rate that would then encourage a click-through rate, that would then encourage an inquiry, that would then ultimately lead to a sale. So I'm a huge fan of testing. I think it's incredibly valuable. It doesn't have to be just subject lines. With email marketing, you can test so many things, whether it's the sender name, the subject line, the timing as well. That's very critical when you send the email out. All of those aspects really help to make sure that you've got the best possible chance. If you have a really good offer or a product that you think is going to be relevant to your audience, it could be just a case of timing. It's not in the inbox at the right time. So don't be afraid to try different times of the week to see when you're going to get that best open rate. And as I say, even if you shift things by a single percentage in open rate, that could mean thousands of pounds of euros in terms of results for you further down the line.